MarkRogersTV just a few minutes after the Buckeyes escaped Baltimore with a win over Navy 34-17. It wasn't easy for the Buckeyes. They trailed at halftime 7-6. They trailed in the third quarter late 14-13. They pulled away with a rushing attack that gained some control in the fourth quarter, and that defense took control at the defensive line of scrimmage in the fourth quarter for the Buckeyes, who scored 3 touchdowns to win it 34-17. Again, a struggle that we want to emphasize was not the fault of the quarterback, JT Barrett. We want to focus on Barrett's play. The redshirt freshman coming into this game had never taken a snap in real live action as a redshirt freshman, of course. Winning the backup job, just barely having the lead over Cardale Jones, a sophomore, when Braxton Miller went down. And so then Barrett was thrust into the starter's role. They gave him the reps, gave him the attention, and he was pretty well prepared for this game. Hit on 12 of 15 passes, 226 yards. Most of the yardage gained in that fourth quarter and in the second half when the Buckeyes pulled away. Again, 12 of 15, 226, 2 touchdowns. He threw the one bad pick. It was a bad decision. It was both a bad decision with the Buckeyes in the red zone, and also it was a late decision. So he had a man on the left sideline that was open and running away from the defense, and he looked to have an easy throw, but he underthrew it. He saw it late, and it was picked off down near the goal line. So that was a crucial mistake, at least at that time, with Ohio State trailing 14-13, and things were getting a bit dicey at that point. But again, let's focus on 12 of 15. Otherwise, he took care of the football. Think about it. Freshman quarterback, first start, and he took care of the football. The one mistake, the one interception. Otherwise, he threw the ball where he needed to. Was he a precision passer? No, he's not expected to be in this offense. Was his debut much better than Braxton Miller's was in 2011? Yes, it was. It was much better. And he had much better talent surrounding him on offense than Braxton Miller on that offense 3 years ago. That said, the Ohio State offensive line is a work in progress. They can take on Navy, wear them down in the fourth quarter, and gain some yardage in the latter stages of the game. But this offensive line has to improve. Looked really bad in the first half. They couldn't run the football. Ohio State only had about 70 rushing yards early in the fourth quarter. Saw the statistics, 70 rushing yards at that point. Navy had like 334 early in the fourth quarter. Now the Buckeyes, those final 2 drives, they ran the football, and they looked mighty impressive doing it late in the game against, of course, a smaller Navy front 7. But again, 70 rushing yards into the fourth quarter. They finished with 194. So they stepped on the throttle those last 3 drives. Curtis Samuel, a Brooklyn freshman, very impressive. The 5th-rated athlete according to 24/7. Also a top 10 wide receiver. So depending on your service, rated either a wide receiver, a running back, or an athlete coming out of high school. And Urban Meyer has been saying superlatives in describing Curtis Samuel's explosion, his toughness, his straight line speed, and one move and go for Curtis Samuel. They had him running between the tackles a lot, and he looked good and gained most of the yardage there in the fourth quarter for the Buckeyes. Ezekiel Elliott, in replacing, as this committee is at this point, Carlos Hyde, a 4-star top 10 running back who got some carries last season for the Buckeyes, and a top 100 player overall coming out of high school. That X factor is Dontre Wilson, who wore number 1. Now he's at number 2 in his sophomore season for the Buckeyes. So Urban Meyer made it very well known that last season, we wanted to get the ball in the hands of Dontre Wilson, but it's difficult to do because the defense knows he's on the field to get the ball. Otherwise, he doesn't help us out unless he's an obvious decoy or gets the ball. He can't pick up the blitz and block people. He can't block people out in front for another ball carrier. So Dontre Wilson, a bit of a liability last season. Urban Meyer made him hit the weights. He's 12 to 15 pounds heavier. He's bulkier. Most importantly, he's stronger and tougher. He had 53 touches for over 400 yards last year. He was utilized, again, most effectively in the second half as the Buckeyes started to find some offense in this game. So again, JT Barrett with the one late read, late throw, underthrown, bad throw in the red zone. Other than that, hey, no, he's not Braxton Miller. He's not going to put the team on his shoulders. He needs to distribute the football And you can see that Evan Spencer was probably his favorite receiver. He hooked up with Evan Spencer for the big long touchdown that broke the 14-13 game and put it in the Buckeyes' favor for good at 20-14 in the fourth quarter. He liked going to Evan Spencer, went up top for that 75-yarder, also found him later in the ball game for some key third down conversions. Barrett, 9 rushes, 50 yards on the day. Would love to hear what you have to say about Barrett's performance, the Buckeyes' offensive line, and offensive cohesiveness through game one, staring at a pretty formidable Virginia Tech defense and corners with 2 of the best in the nation next week at Ohio Stadium. Let's talk about it right here on Mark Rogers TV.